In 2005, the Flint Hills Community Clinic, Inc. was born and is located at 401 Houston in the basement, Suite C. And the thing about the clinic was it was born out of the necessity to give a medical home to those who are uninsured and need health care. Oftentimes, those individuals would end up at the ER every time they weren't feeling good or they needed. And a group of ministers and a group of doctors got together and talked about the necessity to fill the gap for those that are uninsured. And that's how the clinic was born. And in 2021, we did not change the name of the clinic, but we want to be known as the Manhattan Free Clinic. We felt that it gave identity to our location and identity to what the cost for coming to the clinic is. And so the Manhattan Free Clinic is now what we like to be known as. We're still the same place, doing the same great work, providing free health care to those that are uninsured and live under the poverty level of 200% in the federal poverty level guidelines. But our goal is to give that free health care to individuals that need it, individuals that don't have a medical home. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel hopeless about health care? That's where a lot of people end up. When they don't have the money to provide for insurance or they can't pay out of pocket for health care, they avoid health care altogether, and that makes matters worse. This is a place where they can find quality health care provided by local providers, free of charge, so that the cost of health care is not an issue any longer. Thanks to the generosity of local providers, we have an ability to provide quality health care free to those that need it. I have two stories that I can share with you. I'm going to start with my story. Back in Springfield, Missouri in 1990, I find myself unemployed. I have a newborn son and a 8-year-old daughter. I found myself looking for work. It was really difficult to find work at that time. Checking my bank account, we were down to zero, and checking my refrigerator, food was down to almost zero. And so I found myself in need to go to the local food pantry. And I sat on the curb across the street from that building, and I watched people coming in and out. And I thought to myself, I'm not like them. I don't know why I would even consider going in there. After all, last year I made 6 figures, but now I find myself with less than $6 in my bank account. And about the time that I was ready to give up and had a plan just to go home and find another way, and it wasn't going to be good, a lady opens the door and says, "Child, you going to sit out there on that curb or are you coming in?" So I decided I'd go on in. After filling out a lot of paperwork, she invited me back to the cubicle where she started interviewing me about why I needed food. And I thought she kept asking me, what am I here for? But what she was really asking me, what caused me to have to come here? And I thought, that's a strange question. And she said, so what the reason is that you need a job. And I said, yes, I do. And she opened the drawer of her desk and she took out a large handbag. She took out her purse and she put 2 quarters on the desk. And with her index and middle fingers, she slid those across there and she said, I want you to buy a paper on Sunday to get you a job. And I said, well, thank you. That's very generous of you. So on Sunday, I found that paper and it led to an opportunity to work for a large pizza chain franchise, which led me to come here in 1997 as a Domino's Pizza franchisee. How does that tie into what I do today? Well, years later, I sold that franchise and I committed myself to serving this community in a nonprofit setting. I started with Youth for Christ, and then I ended up with Military Community Youth Ministries. I ended up at a local church pastoring for 12 years prior to a couple of years ago. 10 years ago, I started in healthcare with Community Health Ministry in Wamego, and for the last 6 years, I've been serving here at this wonderful clinic. And that lady taught me a lesson. It wasn't just about filling my belly and filling my needs at the moment, but there was hope. That 50 cents that she slid across that desk provided me hope for my future. So it's not just about the health outcomes that we get in this clinic. It's about listening with a compassionate ear, having a benevolent heart, having a heart that listens and wants to provide opportunities beyond their health care. Their health is determined by social determinants like food disparities and access to transportation, quality homes. We provide them with opportunities to connect with Flint Hills Breadbasket, Shepherd's Crossing, Habitat for Humanity, all of those social collaborators that work with the clinic to provide hope beyond their immediate need. So that's the one story I would tell you about how a community clinic can impact a community. The other would be from a patient perspective. A young man was coming to us that had a language barrier. He spoke Spanish only. And through our clerk, we were able to communicate with him about his health care. And so we found out that he was a type 1 diabetic. So we provided his insulin through our PAPS program with Lantus. That was something that he could not afford on his own. He found out about our clinic, he signed up to be one of our patients, and we provided his Lantus for him for free through our PAPS program. Well, through the course of the next few months, he somehow injured his foot. He didn't feel the injury happen because his neuropathy in the bottom of his feet were so bad. But one day he limped his way over to the clinic. He didn't walk very far, but it took him 2.5 hours to get there. That's how bad his foot was. Once we got him into the exam room, we were able to take the plastic bag and the sock that he had on off of his foot, and there was quite a puncture wound that was highly infected in the bottom of his foot. We grabbed our clerk and our nurse, and we took him to the ER, where he was admitted to the hospital and admitted to intensive care. 24 hours later, he was on the surgery table, and they were able to clean out his foot, but he lost his big toe. He was in intensive care because he was sepsis from the infection as well. The outcome of that is he lost his big toe, but he's able to walk normally today, and he's back to work making a living for himself. He is now insured. He's no longer one of our patients, but he tells the story in a way that is more powerful than I could ever tell that story. He said, if it weren't for the fact that you were able to see me that day and get me to the hospital, I could have lost my life, not just my big toe. You know, I think about the work that we do, and not every day is as powerful as that one. But every patient has a story, and every patient has a need. And every patient deserves to be heard and deserves to be ministered to with the amazing ability to provide quality health care for that individual. And the outcome is not always dramatic as this young man's was, but it's just as powerful.